Now, your shoe, you left it on the other shoe. No, no, please, this is reality. If you want to change, work with reality, day-to-day things, okay? Now, you believe yourself to be a respectful, good person who's aware. I'm sure you do. Yet you did something totally unconsciously. Now, that's what we look for. Okay? We look for paying attention to things so we catch how fragments work with what we call buffers. Buffers are justification, excuses, or distractions so we do not see what we really are and what we do. All right? So that is exactly what you look for. When I take off my shoes, do I just throw them or do I put them neatly somewhere? When I take off my clothes, do I just throw it on the floor or do I hang it up? When I pick up this glass, I will put it down in exactly the same spot I picked it up. That's not necessary, but it's an exercise. So everything you pick up, unless it's supposed to go somewhere else, make sure where you put it down, how you put it down, is with attention to detail. Okay? This is a way to get rid of fragments, because what happens? You walk in the door, you take off one shoe, you put it carefully. Then something happens, someone says hello, you get distracted, the other shoe falls where it falls. You see? So the point of putting the two shoes together is so that you've maintained the same fragment in control of starting and completing that action without getting distracted and the fragment changing in the middle of the action. And that's where mistakes happen. All mistakes, think about this, car accident. How can a car have an accident? It's impossible if the two drivers were actually present and paying attention. Because if I'm watching you driving this way, there's no way we can have an accident because we're not going to do it deliberately. But the reason it happens is that some noise, some sound, some music distracted me. I identified a different fragment took me from controlling the car at this moment to over there and bang. Okay? So everything in life, every mistake, everything that is contrary to what you believe yourself to be is due to fragmentation. Okay? Now, we've shown you about fragments and these many ways to eliminate them. Keeping your word, doing whatever you say, and being very attentive to everything you do to make sure it's done the way you believe your personality to be. Okay? And that's why the shoe is so perfect, because it shows you the perfect example of every moment is an opportunity to be awakened. All right. Now you have this knowledge, and now all of this is going to be wasted in a sense that you won't fix it. Why won't you fix it? Because of what we call buffers. Okay. So everything you do, you'll have a reason. And that distracts you so your fragments can change and you will forget about what you did so you never correct the problem. All right? So have you noticed that you are, somebody did something wrong? And you say, oh, look what you did. And what's the first thing they will do? Excuses. The traffic, this thing, that thing, the other thing. And you say, no, 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 that's not an excuse. No, no. You could have left early. Oh, you could have been more attentive, right? Every excuse, if you say, no, not valid, what do they do next? Or eventually? But you did, they attack you, correct? And do you ever do that? Divert and then attack if you can't get away from it. Usually your diversions work, especially when it's on yourself. So, I've shown you ways to eliminate fragments, but now you have to watch for the protective mechanism to prevent you from eliminating fragments. Because no matter how much effort you put to plug the holes, let's say there's a hole in the bowl and it says use tape. Yes, but the tape is water soluble. You think you fixed it, but then the water will leak and the tape will fall off and the hole never gets fixed, right? So the buffer is there's a hole, put a piece of tape on it. And because it knows that that won't actually fix anything. So excuses, justifications, any explanation, and never let yourself give explanations. Accept the responsibility. Pay attention and say, where did it go wrong? Where was the identification to the event? Okay? And then be very careful if that moment happens that you then start attacking and blaming someone else. So you must never, ever do those two things. No excuses, no attacking anyone else when you are, when you're wrong, when you made a mistake. Okay? So this is one of the hardest parts of the work, is accepting how broken you are and looking for it. And if I say about the shoes, don't, picking on, joke, it's funny, is that? No, my God, you're right. I really thought I'm respectful. And putting my dirty shoe on top of somebody else's clean shoe, that's disrespectful. How could I do that? So you must now examine yourself when you catch yourself doing things like that and say, how could I do that? Remember Hamim? You ponder the same way. How could I do that? And you will immediately say, because I was distracted. Yes, but how could I be so distracted? Not acceptable. Because I was rushing. I was late. Really, it wouldn't take much time to put your shoe carefully. Not acceptable. You'll come up with buffers for everything you've done wrong that you've caught yourself, and then look at those and say, no, that's not acceptable, that's not acceptable. And you keep pondering, how could I do that? And then you start to think, okay, I see the fragmentation. And I see how buffers are trying to give me an excuse for being asleep. Okay? And so by these very simple things throughout our day, we start to eliminate fragments and buffers so that we can begin to unify our being. Does this make sense? So you can see how you find your excuses to, you will start to look for them, hopefully. Okay? To be careful, always accept responsibility, and start with paying attention. Things like your toothbrush, that can always go back in the same place, right? Make sure you put it in the same place, in the same position, consciously. Why? Because brush my teeth, put the brush down. No attention, right? But if I'm aware of brushing my teeth, and I'm now actually putting attention to where I put it, that requires the same fragment to be in control through the whole process, because only that fragment remembers exactly where it was when I picked it up in order for me to put it back in the same place, right? If I picked up the toothbrush and I handed it to you and said, put it back where I picked it up, how could you? You don't know where I picked it up. So therefore, it can only be me who puts it back. And so that means the same fragment, which means I have not let fragments take control, and I've maintained one fragment for that period of time, at least, if not further. Okay? So that's why if I pick up my glass on that side of the cable, and I don't put it down here, but I put it back exactly where I picked it up, it requires that same fragment to be in control. Because remember, the fragments shift in fractions of a second sometimes. So that's why attention to detail is so important, because it maintains your fragment in control. And the buffers to examine, no, not an excuse, to eventually come to say, yes, it's fragments. I identified with different events, lost my mind, all right? So that's how we start working. Okay, So buffers are habits. Habits are distractions, whatever it is. So exercise is you make a habit every month, you make one new habit, and every month you break one habit. Okay? Each habit is associated to a fragment because that fragment has its way of doing things. If I break a habit, I am killing that perhaps group of fragments. Remember, there's 100,000 enemies in the 100,000 soldiers in the enemy's army. I need to kill them all before they conquer my land. All right? Right now, they've already invaded your mind. You're already a mess. The enemies are within. So we've got to get rid of them. All right? So every habit is fragments. Now, automatically made habits, like the way you respond to things or whatever they are, they grew on their own because you weren't aware of them developing. But if you deliberately make a habit, a new habit, and maintain it, it means you have created a specific fragment and you are continually putting that fragment in control every time you're doing that new habit, which again, like I said, robs other fragments from a chance to be in control and starves them to death. Now, these habits are using brushing teeth because it's things you do that are good, but doing them differently. Or things that are bad, like the coffee. I used to have tea with milk and sugar. I stopped taking sugar. Then I stopped taking milk. Then I stopped taking tea. Then I tried coffee with milk and sugar. And now there's coffee with no sugar, right? So simple things. Now, brushing your teeth. When I brush my teeth, I'm very attentive to the sensation of the brush, to the texture of the brush, holding it in my hand, the position of my hand, and I am counting in my head 1, 2, 3, 1 to 10, very slowly, and I am tapping my finger with the other hand very quickly. So 1, 2, 3, so you're splitting attention, and I stand on my toes. So you see how even the simplest things can be an exercise in awakening without taking 1 second out of your day. Because you're brushing your teeth anyway. Make use of the time. Okay? So find as many things in your life as possible to which you can do differently, either to break a habitual pattern or create a new one. And every month, one broken habit, one new habit. And you keep it. You don't revert. So in 1 year, you've got 12 habits broken and 12 new ones. Okay? So you're going to do this new habit. And then you will say, oh, I'll put sugar this time. It's okay. Once won't hurt me. You see? Then the buffer. Once won't hurt me. Yes, but consistency is what we need. So as you're making the new habit, you will have buffers as reasons not to do it. And remember, the whole point is see what's happening. I've got to see what is going on in my mind in this broken machine, and seeing it helps fix it. Okay? So there's how you'll watch for that. So no more excuses no matter what is wrong. Never make an excuse. Apologize and make it better next time, right? No lying to yourself to justify, accept what I really did. You put the shoes. Oh, but you're right. I did that. It's wrong. You finish there. You don't laugh it off. You don't make a joke, whatever the mistake is, right? You don't make excuses. Straight to, yes, that is what it is. Mistake, I apologize, fix it. And the thing is, when you do that, you see, fragments don't like to be caught out. When you catch it out, that's why buffers are protection, so you can't catch it out. When you catch it out, it doesn't like that. So what happens if I put my hand in the fire and it burns? I'm not going to put my hand in the fire again, right? So when you catch the fragment, when you catch the fragment, that fragment is very scared to do the same thing again because it doesn't want to be caught out. So for every little thing you do that is wrong and you just simply see and accept and apologize or fix it, that fragment will never want to be controlled again because it doesn't like that. And for every fragment that gets away with it and the buffer comes in to justify it and you don't accept the buffer, you killed the buffer and the fragment. And that's how we kill all the soldiers of the invading army, or pick the weeds out of the forest. All right? So, okay, so the 3 levels of certainty, remember, of knowledge, of understanding. Knowledge of understanding, vision of understanding, truth of understanding, right? How many times, now you have to think about it, did you have an argument and you defended your point, but later found out you were wrong? Did that ever happen? Okay. So now if you think about it, I knew I was wrong, and yet I still fought for what I said. And that's one of the stupid things humans do, which is stick the knife in the heart and all the rest of it. All right? So now you have to say, do I want my life to continue as it is? Am I content? I'll ask you to think about that. As your life is today, are you content with nothing ever changing? Exactly as it is today for the rest of your life. All conditions, your level of work, your level of money, your level of business, level of relationship, everything the same for the rest of your life. How does that sound? If you think about this, you're 90 years old, and from whatever age you are now, it never changed. Sounds good? You're going to die happy? Would you kill yourself before you died of old age? Probably, right? Another 10, 15 years like this, I've had enough of this. Okay. Remember that pain. Think about this. And let that pain of that, oh my God, drive you to change. Because if you want to run your truly, truly top speed, you could be offered the gold medal in Olympics and you'll really try hard, but that's not really your top speed. If you want to get to your top speed, have a lion chase you for dinner. You're the dinner. Now you will run top speed. Now this fear of I'll kill myself if I'm like this for another 10 years, that is the lion that will chase you to make you pay attention, do things, apologize, and so on. Okay? So think about that. Every night, if I'm like this for the rest of my life, oh shit, I cannot take that. And this is a path out. These simple things. Okay? So, all these arguments you've had that you thought about. So next argument, if you get into a next argument, try to remember about the other one to which you fought and caused so much trouble in your life, even though you knew you were wrong, but you wanted to defend that I'm right. And you say, how stupid am I? And say, well, I, the alien, is not stupid, but the fragments are. Because that's what it is, right? You could see that as your fragmentation. And the buffers to justify it say, I, the driver, am not broken, but the machine is. And if I don't fix the machine, I will be like this forever. So let me learn how to fix the machine and get it fixed. And I'm alone in the desert, so no one can help me. I'm the only one who can fix the machine. Okay? So let that fear drive you to doing all of these exercises, all right? So when you're in an argument or getting into it or any disagreement, remember those ones to which you fought and remember the damage that they caused and how long were you angry, how much energy you wasted, all the leaks, and how long to recover, if ever, and say, I don't want to keep doing that. And I know it's not me. It's very important to know you are not the problem. The machine is the problem, which is broken. You are stuck in the machine. You're the alien trapped in the human body and mind, which again will make more sense next lesson. But for now, up to what we've learned, you've got to remember, I am perfect, but I'm living in a broken machine, therefore I am broken. You have to be able to see that. I am broken, but I am not broken, because I am the alien, but I'm living in the machine of the human. And so therefore I am subject to the condition of the machine. But since I, living within, am not broken, I can repair the machine from the inside. But until the machine is repaired, I am effectively broken. By observing the mood swings, the identification, the fragments, the buffers, the justification. So you need to see how broken you are to prove to yourself that you are broken in order for you to want to fix it. And that's why you have to look for, I put my shoes there, and not make a buffer and to get around it. Look for everything you do. You knock over the water bottle. I'm not paying attention. That shouldn't happen. Whatever little things, mistakes you do, realize it shouldn't happen if I'm paying attention. Therefore, I was asleep. I was identified with something else instead of being present. Okay? So why this work is so difficult is I'm basically telling you to look at how fucked up you are. And to see it and to accept it and find out every instance of where you are broken, which people don't want to do. They're all there telling you, be happy, accept yourself, you're awesome, you're wonderful, accept your love yourself. Well, if you do, you know what will happen? Nothing will change for the rest of your life because there's no lion chasing you, right? So, knowing essentially the central I is perfect, but it's living in the broken machine, to see that I am a piece of crap and I'm broken is the best thing that could happen to me, because now I know how to fix it to change my life going forward. So we see it in that way. I know what's wrong, now I can fix it. Because let's say you have some sickness and you don't know what it is. You just spend your whole life sick, not knowing what it is, and depressed because your whole life will be sick. But if you go to the doctor and he says, this is the problem, that's how we can fix it. Now you're sick, but you have hope. Okay? So this I'm stressing to you because I'm fighting the world, which is telling you, you're awesome, you're great, look at all the wonderful things about you. And I'm saying, no, that's what prevents you from growing. You know, you have a boat, the anchor is down. You put the engine full speed, the boat goes nowhere. And you say, go on, give it more power, be positive, the boat can go, it's a good boat. But it goes nowhere because you're not looking at the anchor stuck in the ground. Okay? So I hope you're understanding that looking for the negative is the most positive, happy thing you can do. Now, do you remember I said about opposites? Everything is its opposite. So this is the point of the opposites exist simultaneously. So there is no such thing as good or bad. Good and bad is simply, does it take me to my goal or does it prevent me from my goal? And if it prevents me from my goal and I see it and I fix it, then I can go to my goal. So was it bad? No, it's good that I found it because now I can go forward. Okay? So where this is useful is every bad thing is actually a good thing. So if we ignore the bad things, they'll always be there stopping us. But if we look for the bad things, they become the best things because we are removing obstacles for our life to change. When I did business consulting, I used to help family-owned companies that were going bankrupt. They couldn't afford to pay for help for a business consultant. That was my charity. So I'd say families, not just companies. So anyhow, I go in these companies and the owner would be telling me all the problems. And I'd say, wonderful. Tells me another, great. And they start to get angry. What do you mean? These are the disasters, the problems. I said, these are wonderful things because now we know what to fix to save the company. And it always worked. And he's telling me what's good and good. I said, okay. Bad thing. Oh, good. All right? So do that with your life. Remember that every bad thing about you is the best thing you can find because now you can move forward. All right? And now why is this important? Because it changes the way your mind thinks. So from now on, nothing, well, once you get in this habit, nothing is bad anymore. So if I say, you stupid, ugly woman, you hear me saying, I think you're beautiful and I wish I could be with you. It becomes automatic. And that's how we'll never be insulted again. Because it's a negative insult, but you will hear the truth because you have truth of understanding instead of just knowledge. And you have learned to say every bad thing is a good thing. So every bad thing your mind will automatically take as a good thing. So every insult becomes a compliment. Every put down is, if I'm your boss saying you did a bad thing and you're now understanding that I'm speaking out of my fear of losing my job because my team didn't do a good job, you'll say, I receive with compassion. So his attack makes me be compassionate. So it shows me that I'm better. I'm a good person. And then it can make him feel better. You see? So his attack became a good thing because I'm compassionate and I make him feel better. So everything now becomes the opposite. And because you're now in the habit of understanding that every bad thing is a good thing, therefore you're always on that good side of the coin, rather than trying to convince yourself that, oh, you're wonderful, you're awesome. It's by seeing, no, I'm broken, I'm terrible. Does make sense? Okay? And here is where we gain freedom. Remember, boundaries are the worst thing in the world for you because a boundary is controlling another person, stopping them from connecting with you. So here we are removing boundaries and not having fear. You see, if things are bad, the fragment doesn't want to see what I did wrong, so it protects with a buffer, which is like a boundary, because I want to live, right? But if I say I have no boundaries, I see everything as it is, then I have no fear. So where is this in life? People don't, get into a business because they fear what will people say, what if I fail, what if I lose? So your fear prevents you from trying new things, from talking to people, from investing or whatever it is. But when I remove fear, because I know that if there's a bad thing, I will accept it and then I can fix it. I have no fear to try new things. You see? So this gives you now courage. You see how many things you get by accepting everything you do wrong immediately and looking for your mistakes. You now have no fear of things. You'll try new things, whatever it may be. So when the guy says, what do you bring to the table? You can say, you know what? I'm open to do anything. I do not bring fears. I do not bring a resistance. If you want to try a new kind of food, I said, no, I don't eat that. Because I have no fear. I will try the new food. I will try this adventure. You see? So what do you bring? It's what I do not bring. That's your best answer. When you're saying, a guy asks you, what do you bring to the table? Your answer is, it's not what I bring, it's what I do not bring. I do not bring a burden. I do not bring limitation. I do not bring negative emotions. I do not bring a temperamental, irrational, crazy fight for no reason. You see? And that's really what a guy wants, is not what you, because it's say, what do you bring? Because I know you bring all these troubles. So what do you bring to compensate for the trouble? So instead of saying, I do not bring trouble. You see? And this is just a general mentality for you to think of everything in life, right? Because you know what? Doing a business or having a relationship is exactly the same thing. It's an interaction with another person that you want to have a happy end. I almost said a happy ending, but realize that doesn't sound right. But a happy end to it, a happy outcome. So that's why this work is so all-encompassing with life. Okay, so does this all make sense about the buffers and everything, right? Okay, so you understand how good is bad, gain is loss, loss is gain. Everything is a matter of what can I use this for? I screwed up. I see where I screwed up. Where's the benefit? I learned what not to do or how to do something better. You know, Edison, a reporter asked him, Edison, you failed 10,000 times to invent the light bulb. How did you keep going? He says, no, you're wrong. I never failed. I found 10,000 things that don't work. I discovered 10,000 things that will not make a light bulb work. So you see, he saw his mistakes as a good thing. Now I know what not to do. That's the idea of accepting all mistakes without a buffer, so you now know what not to do. Don't do this. Right? So, totally opposite way of looking to this thing. So you're not awesome, you're a mess. You're not wonderful, you're a broken machine. You don't actually deserve all these wonderful, I mean, boy, girls dating in Dubai especially. I deserve a handsome man, a rich man, and takes me a 5-star life and does this and this and this. But she's old and fat and ugly, has no money, has debts to pay, has no education, there's nothing good about her. Why does she deserve that? So I said, why you deserve? She says, well, because if I believe I deserve it, I will get it. Have you gotten it? No, but I'm going to keep believing. I said, well, you deserve what you want. See, we have to look objectively. So right now, what you have in your life is what you deserve. You get what you deserve. So if you don't like what you have, it's because you don't deserve anything better. I'm sorry, but does that make sense? Do you understand it? At least conceptually, even if you don't want to accept it? Right? But for a man who's achieved everything in life, I can tell you, you know? So you need to make yourself really worthy of what you want. Be that a man, a relationship, or money, or career, or whatever. Okay? I had one student, this guy, American boy. Do you know who is Smashing Pumpkins? Have you heard of this? Okay, Smashing Pumpkins, according to him, is the world's top band. It's a music group, a band, okay? But they're big and famous. Maybe not in Africa, but in America. Okay. So this guy, he plays a bass guitar. And he found out the Smashing Pumpkin is looking for a new bass guitarist. Okay. I'm going to get that. Okay, why? Because I really, really, really want it. Okay. And are you very good? I'm okay. Okay. How much do you practice? He said, about 15 minutes a day. He wants to be the bass guitarist for the top band in the Western music world, and he practices 15 minutes a day. I said, and what about these professionals? He said, well, the lead guy of the band said he practiced about 16 hours a day. I said, so you want to work with a guy who practiced 16 hours a day, and you practice 15 to 20 minutes a day. Do you think you deserve that role? Maybe not. So why do you think you'll get it? Because I really believe I want it and I'll get it. Okay? So I don't care what you want to believe. What do you really do to deserve what you want? All right? And that is where the buffers will come and tell you that you're wonderful, you're amazing, you're the best woman in the world, and yeah. And the fragments will keep you doing this and that, but never working on yourself to become that wonderful person, because the buffers will tell you you already are, or whatever it is. Okay? And that is why you have whatever it is you have in your life. So if you want life to change and not be the same for the next whatever rest of your life, look for every teeny tiny thing. Change how you brush your teeth. Change as much as you can. I'm right-handed, so I'll pick it with the left hand. It doesn't matter. Break patterns. Everything as much as possible. Okay? Look for everything you can break. Habits and stuff. All right, there's one more principle I'll teach you today, and then we'll stop. So is that all good? Makes sense, right? This kind of shatters your opinion of life. Good. Good, because you're trapped in your imagination. My job is to break that bubble and get you out so you wake up and change your life, right? Because if reincarnation is true and I am reborn to one of you, I want you to be a really good parent. All right? Okay, last principle for today. This is the way we justify, all right? So we call it self-lying buffers. So it's not so much a principle as an example of how it works. And this is something, I'll tell you this story, and you have to start looking in yourself. So this man is very rich, big business, really doing well, everything is great. And then one day things start to go wrong. His health is no good, his business is suffering, he's got all kinds of legal troubles, business troubles, family troubles. Everything in his life is going bad. And he starts to pray and he says, God, please, please fix my problems. I'll do anything. And he prays and he prays and he prays for days and days and days. And he says, God, I promise if you fix my problems, I will sell my mansion, which is worth $10 million, and I will give every penny to charity. And he was so sincere. And because the principle of pay your debts, meaning for everything you get, you must give something in return, and that he finally said, I will sell my mansion and give every penny I get to charity, God smiled on him. And slowly, over the next week or two, all his problems got resolved, just disappeared. All of a sudden, his health got better. The fights in business, everybody just gave in, and business was thriving, and everything was going really well. And he went, wow, he's good. And then he went, I know why. My prayer was sincere, and I made a promise to God, so I must keep that promise. Now, this man, he liked to paint as a hobby. He was not very good at it, but he has all his paintings. So he put his house for sale for $1, under condition that the buyer of the house will purchase one of his paintings for $10 million. And so he sold the painting, and the guy got the house for $1, and $1 went to charity. Because he said, I'll give every penny I get from selling the house to charity. But he was very creative, and he sold the painting for $10 million so he could keep his money and honor his promise. Do you get it? You're supposed to laugh. It's a joke. All right? Now, how many times can you think you did the same thing? Make a promise, make an agreement, believe to yourself, New Year's resolution, whatever it is, and then you found a way out of it. Right? Do you all remember times you've done that? Or you've seen other people do it? Yeah. And how did you feel about it? It was okay. You justified it, right? And now if you think about it, those things, how do you feel about it? Still okay? Or do you feel any sense of, Okay, not okay? Yeah, okay? So what happens? Guilt, little bit of guilt, little bit of guilt. Guilt is not something that the fragments want to see, so there's always a buffer. A buffer is a distraction, a justification. He did that to me. It was okay for me to cheat because he cheated me. In business, maybe not in relationship, whatever it is. But I do know women who went to cheat on their boyfriend because the boyfriend cheated on them, right? So whether it's in business, whatever it is, all right? And so this keeps the machine broken, all right? So that's how we do it. Self-lying, justifications, all right? So start to think about everything you did to make yourself realize what a horrible person you are so that you have regret and remorse, which is not the same as guilt. Guilt and regret and remorse feel the same, sound the same. The difference is guilt is self-pity. I'm a horrible person. I'm a terrible person. And you just focus on that. Regret and remorse is I did something I know is wrong. I feel bad and I'm not going to do it again. So you can have regret by knowing that you are a good person living in a broken machine, therefore things will go bad. And you have no control over it. But now if you're going to wake up, you can have control over it. And the only way is to regret what you have done so that you see how you functioned broken-wise, and that you will now be determined to change it, because the image of I'm 95 years old and I'm exactly, life is just what it is now, is so scary that I regret what I did, I see what I did, I will change. And that's how we get motivated to change our life. And that's how we can see all the bad things about us without it being guilt and self-pity, but becoming a motivation to say, if I can see it, I can change it. Right? If I can see it, I can change it. If you're hunting for food and you cannot see any animals, even though they're in the forest, and you just shoot, bang, 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 maybe you get, maybe not. But if there's one animal sitting in front of you in an open field, well, that's pretty easy. So that's why we look, knowing that I'm no fault of my own. They broke my machine. I couldn't do anything differently. So I have to see what I did so I can fix it and not do it again. So that's why I see and regret, but with a positive, motivating attitude, knowing no fault of my own, but I can do differently in the future. All right? Okay, does that make sense? Clear? Good. So I want you to feel bad so you feel good. You have to feel bad so you feel good. The opposites exist. Feel bad with the regret, good knowing this can change going forward. Knowing today I died. Today I'm also born. The one who was unconscious of the broken machine, controlled and limited by the broken machine, that one died. Now I just came in from another planet into this body, and what can I do differently? Learning from the other person's mistakes. So now it's good. I know what I'm working with. Because what is the most painful thing for a human being? What do you think the most painful emotion or feeling or thought for a human being? Eh? Regret. What else? Not trying? Not trying? Okay. Other ideas? Huh? Okay. Not taking an opportunity. What else? Anger? Okay. No. Those are not the worst. You know what the worst thing is? Not knowing. When you don't know what they're thinking, what they're doing, why is this happening, what is going to happen. confusion. Does that sound even worse than the ones you've suggested? Not knowing how to fix the problem. I don't know. What do you really mean? I don't know. Not knowing, confusion, is the most painful thing, because if you regret not doing something, you say, well, next time I'll do it. If I'm angry, okay, I'll get over my anger. All of these things you can deal with, but not knowing what to do, you're totally lost. That's the most painful thing, because how am I going to get out of this? How will I solve this problem? And so that's why people don't want to deal with reality of what they are, because they don't know how to fix it. But I'm giving you the understanding of how to fix it. So therefore, you should have no pain in seeing bad things we do, because now you have an answer, understanding, okay? So that's the biggest problem. So know what the biggest problem is, not knowing. So by the same token, don't ever make someone else experience that pain by you not expressing yourself, not talking, not communicating. Make sure everybody knows exactly what's going on to the best of your ability. So don't cause pain to others, okay? All right, well, that's it for today's part of it. Again, the next 2 lectures get even more interesting. Yeah. So we were 7 last time, we were 9, right? We were 9 last time, and we have a new one. So that means we're effectively 6 out of 9. Okay, so we had 3 dropouts. Okay. But you see, that's the thing, is that how devoted are you to change? So those 3 who dropped out have basically said, I'm accepting my life to stay the same forever. I'm not willing to put in a couple of hours here and there to find a solution to change. So one of 2 choices. They either didn't think my work is worthy, fair enough, or it did reach them enough that a buffer came in because the fragment said, we're going to die if he learns or she learns this. We're going to die. So we're going to say, this isn't good, he's not good. Or we'll get busy with some job or task or something. See? And so it prevents them. It's a very common thing. Long-term students can be 1 year, 2 years. Their life changes tremendously. Like one guy, this guy, heavy into drugs and alcohol. He wanted to be a writer, screenwriter, scriptwriter. 7 years he'd been trying to be a writer, never one paying job, never made a penny, never got a job. Okay, starts working with me. Within a year, I got him to stop all drugs, completely cleaned up, and he started getting so many paying jobs, he had to double his hourly rate to try and reduce the client base by doubling his pay, you know, to get rid of the ones who wouldn't pay that much. And he had so much work, he couldn't handle it within a year. So cleaned his life, no more drugs, no more alcohol, big into fitness, and got 7 paying jobs, and so many paying jobs. He doubled his price, was making a huge amount of money, was able to buy a nice car. He didn't have a car before because he couldn't afford it. He was able to buy a nice car. He was living in a trailer that he parked on his sister's property. He now got a nice apartment. And he had been working on producing his own movie that for years and years they could never get produced, got produced and into film festivals and won awards in film festivals. And the credits in that movie have a special screen that says, with special thanks to David Samuel, because working with me got all this done. Okay, so isn't that amazing? What a transformation. And what do you think went on from there? You're not going to guess. But anyway, he got back into the drugs, and he got back to drinking, and everything fell apart, and he turned against me. No, you're not as good as you think you are. You're not as good as I thought you are. You're really bad. What did I do bad? Well, I just don't like some things I saw in you. What did you see in me? Well, there are things. Okay? So what happens is the fragments are so strong, and the worst part is friends. All his old friends said, you've changed. It's not good. Yeah, he changed. It was good. But they didn't like. You see, friends, family, are effectively like fragments. Okay? When you're changing, they don't like that because they are losing control of someone they can manipulate. Okay, I'm nothing personal, but black tax, okay? That is the worst thing you have in your life because they control you to make sure you never have enough money to get ahead by there's always someone needing your help. And your money just goes, your life goes, because money is your life, right? You work to that. So all of these people, when you start changing and you no longer will be manipulated, will start to tell you how they're worried about you. There's something gone wrong. So just like this guy, something's wrong. We care about you. Here's a free bottle of scotch. Here's a few free drugs because we're worried about you. And then he fell back. Okay? So that's what the fragments will do also. So that's what happens is that if there's significant change, there will be challenges, people, fragments, whatever, trying to get you back because basically they are losing someone they can feed off of or losing control. Fragments will be dying off. They don't want to die.